Sunday night chat, Sunday afternoon. I have to admit that I'm basically half asleep when I start a lot of these videos. I kind of have an idea of what I want to talk about, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get this out of the way. People are expecting it. Let me just come on here and blather a little bit. So, yeah, I should probably do a little more research. Or at least make some notes. But, yeah. It's for those people who want to be taken seriously. I only did a few videos this week. I did the one on the, my response to the debate, which we're going to talk about. Did a night video, I did a watch band thing, and I did something on I'm doing that box for the back door of the Astro van for a buddy of mine. I have not spoken to another person in at least 3 days. So that's been good. I've just been sitting here like kind of catching up in my mind. The thing about living alone, for those who don't know, I've been living alone since I was 14 years old, and I enjoy being alone. I don't like being annoyed. I like having my own thoughts uninterrupted. Excuse me. So with that job I did for a friend of mine out there in the valley for weeks and weeks and weeks, being around her all that time, it was a lot to deal with. I love her as a human being. We're friends, but she never shuts up, man. And she's bossy. She wants to tell me what to do and how to do things. It's like, I've been doing this for a long time. So it gets on my last nerve a little bit. And I've got a bunch of other stuff that I'm also dealing with that takes money out of my pocket and things like that. So I have a little, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, you're probably dealing with it too. We're all dealing with it on one level or another. And on top of everything else, we've got this election coming up. So there's so much dumb stuff out there. I mean, even just now, I tried to find, I remember when Kamala was in Ukraine and Poland and all that several years ago. I remember just looking at the screen, laughing, and at the same time trying not to cry, because the word salad stuff when she's up there and she doesn't have a script, it's so bad. But you can't find it. It's interesting. If you try to type stuff in, everything's about the debate right now. I hate that. It's like an algorithm thing. Those of you that do websites and things like this, you understand. Yeah, you probably understand it better than I can explain it. It's just hard to find what you're looking for. With that in mind, I did a couple interesting things this week. It was a lot of fun, actually, because, the whole cat thing was funny, the pet thing, which it's just funny to me. Because Trump will say these outrageous things. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, because it just gets people to be like, what? So for the people that like him, we love when he does it, because we know what it's doing to the other side. So we find that humorous because there's a joke there. But then, you got to go looking. So the media says it's absolutely false and all that. It's hard to find people on the street down there, but there's this guy. I'm going to put a link to it. And I don't remember his name because I watched a couple different people. Because people ask me all the time, where do I get my information? There are people out there that have YouTube channels all over the planet who live in these places. And a lot of them have tens of thousands of subscribers, 70,000 subscribers or more. And they go out with a camera, sometimes a camera person, and a microphone, and they talk to people on the street. And they're showing you the area. So you don't have to rely on it being filtered through the media of what they want to show you. You remember that there's a famous meme where there's like a highlighted circle and it looks like somebody stabbing the other person running away. But when you see the whole picture, that's not just in that little circle. It's actually that person's attacking this person. Or the multiple times you see, like during the last election, where they're trying to make it look like Biden had people at his rallies, but when you pan back, they had a bunch of people really tight right there. There's hardly anybody there, right? But the way the camera angles were set up, it looked like there were people there. But when you see the wide shot, there's nobody there. That's what the media does, as an example. So that's what we're dealing with right now. It's the same thing with these stories. But there was this guy, and he went down there, and he actually went to Springfield, Ohio. I think he lives there. And talk to the people there. Now, Some people say it's happening. Some people say it's not happening. There's some interesting pictures. You can't believe all the pictures. Personally, I don't have a problem with it, honestly. And it sounds horrible, but if you're hungry and you want to eat something, eat it. As far as eating geese and duck, I grew up eating geese and duck. My dad was a hunter. And by the way, my father was an immigrant. He came to this country. He didn't speak English. He became a naturalized citizen. You know, loved this country. So I have a thing, an affinity for people who come here from somewhere else and want to have a better life. I don't have a problem with immigrants who want to come here and become Americans. There's a weird thing that's been happening, I've noticed over the decades, where some people want to come here and not assimilate. Immigration without assimilation is an invasion. That's just how I see it. And there's the people that have been kind of running the show now here for a long time have been wanting to badmouth America and their policies and everything else. All the things that made the country great. They try to put a spin on it and talk about slavery and all these things to almost make it seem as if immigrants who are coming here shouldn't want to become Americans. Like they want, which makes them hold more on to the lifestyles and the beliefs and everything that they had in their previous country. It's like a red state where let's say there's no income tax, like Nevada or something. Or, you know, whatever, any state that's a red state where there's people carry guns around and there's less crime and people are happier and gas is cheaper and all that. And then the people from the blue states who voted for all the horrible shit that made the blue states harder to live in and made things cost more money, well, now they sell their homes, they move to the red states, and then they just do the same shit there that wrecked the blue state. It's the same attitude. The people who come to this country, they're being brainwashed with bullshit, revisionist history and everything else, so that they don't really want to become an American, and that's the problem. You got to read the speech on Teddy Roosevelt did 100 years ago about one alliance, one allegiance to your country, and we want people from everywhere to come here. We want them to become Americans. That's important. Excuse me. I should jump around and scream like for 40 minutes before I do these videos. So as far as the people in Springfield, Ohio, I feel for them, to be honest with you. It's not their fault that they're there. If I was in Haiti or Venezuela or any other country and it was a shitty government there and it was dangerous and there wasn't enough food and everything else and I had a chance to come to the big PX, America, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take any chance I can to get here. But you know, I'd want to be a good person about it. That's just who I happen to be. So he went on the street, this guy, and talked to these people from Haiti. And most of them were all very nice people. Matter of fact, the white people from the town are pretty bad. Quite a few of them, you know. But this was a town that already had problems with jobs, already had problems with poor people, you know, housing issues, everything else. It was already a rundown town. And then the government, our government, who I'm blaming this on, makes these boneheaded decisions, right, to take all these immigrants and put them into this town that's already stressed out, only stressing out the situation more with no way to make things better. Meanwhile, think about it. Let's say you're sitting there and you're barely getting by, and now there's tens of thousands of people. Of course, you know, some of these people don't even like the way they look because they happen to be black-skinned people. Not that I care, but that's what it is. They don't speak English, and they're all getting free food, free money, free rent, right? It's all being paid for by the government. Meanwhile, you're struggling, and all these people are coming in from another country. And to make matters worse, the people that the landlords own the housing there, the buildings for rent. They get rid of the people that have been living there so the immigrants could come in because they get more money for rent that way. Well, now, you understand what's happening? The government's boneheaded decisions have created a situation where Americans that have been there, born and raised there, have all this animosity against these immigrants coming in. It's not their fault. But of course, it's going to be aimed at them. And on top of that, these people, they don't speak English. They don't understand the rules of the road or anything. Somehow, this guy went to the DMV. People from DMV won't talk to him. They're getting driver's licenses They're in cars, and there's another guy, a black guy, American, who has a whole YouTube channel dedicated to it, where every car accident, he goes out, he's got a police scanner, listens to the police scanner all day, goes out and films all these accidents. It's friggin' crazy. And people are getting run over, hit, other cars hit, driving into houses, driving through walls. It's all right there. It's all happening right there. You can actually see it with your own eyes. Again, you don't have to worry about going to the media. It's not going to show you. It's going to tell you it's not real or something. You can see it. It's happening. So this town is a freaking shit show because of your government. I'm just saying that's a fact. That's a problem. I'm just putting that out there. It's not cool, man. So that was really good. And then there was another guy, the Aurora thing with the Venezuelan gang. So he goes to that community, goes to the apartment building, talks to all the people there, showing you the bullet holes in the windows and everything else. And another crappy scenario going on there. Again, brought to you by the Biden administration. So, and this is happening across the country. I mean, if that's what they're doing here, it's no wonder that the whole world is on fire. That's all I'm saying. If you don't like Trump and you don't want to vote for him, fine. I don't have a problem with that. But don't vote for her out of spite, because she's not going to be running anything, just like Biden was never running anything. They have this. They have a consent. They have a bunch of people together that tell those people what to say. They're puppets. That's the difference. And again, all you got to think about is she's been there 3.5 years. She created all these problems. That administration created all these issues. Now she's saying she's going to fix it, but she doesn't actually give you a plan on any of those things of actually how to fix it. That's the problem. As far as the debate thing went, to address some of your comments, one guy was really funny. He was like, "Oh man, why don't you stick to carpentry and the van stuff?" Well, you know what? I'm an American citizen. I'm a free man. And in this country, we got free speech. And I could say whatever I want. If you don't like it, you don't have to be here. So go away. Unsubscribe. Stop following me. I tell you people do that all the time. Every time I do that, I might lose a couple, and then I see a bunch of new ones. It's really funny to me. So don't care what you think. I'm allowed to say it, and that's not what the channel's about, as we know, but it's what's going on in my mind right now, and that is what the channel's about. And unfortunately, between now, whatever it is, however many weeks we got till this next election, you know, just know, whatever you're reading and seeing and hearing, radio, TV, cable news, whatever, you're not getting information right now. You're getting propaganda. That's just how it is. You can't believe anything. You're just being manipulated. So just stop. You already know who you're going to vote for, so there's no point in like, me. That's all I'm saying. But again, I will just point out track record. Because in 2016, I mean, in 2012, we had a problem. I don't believe that election either, really. That was a whole other shit show that went down there. We had the whole Benghazi issue. I can get deep into this, because I used to talk about it on the channel back then, but nobody cared. But there are videos of me talking about it. But our economy was in the crapper before Trump came along, and Obama told them our #1 threat was North Korea. Everybody was scared we're going to have a nuclear war with North Korea. They were launching these missiles, everything else. Putin, China, Venezuela, all these issues that we were having. Gas prices were crazy. Inflation was bad. All these bad things were happening. And Trump came in, instilled these policies. We had manufacturing that had been leaving this country for decades before he came in here, and he made policy changes and tariffs and everything else that brought manufacturing back. People were building new factories here again for the first time in a long time. No new wars, peace in the Middle East, practically bankrupt Russia and Iran because of our stronger economy, because of our policy when it came to our drilling for our own energy. All the things he did that made sense, that made the whole world safer. I mean, he had the president of China eating dinner, actually was eating dessert at the time, down in Mar-a-Lago while he dropped a bomb on somebody and told him, I just took the call. Yeah, we just killed this guy. Like, that's a message. When people say negatively that Trump's a gangster, like they don't like it, that's what we need. Who do you think that these people run? You know why everything's on fire right now and everything's falling apart is because we don't have gangsters in there right now. We've got criminals. They're criminals. They're trying to line their own pockets and everything through corruption, money laundering and everything else. That's happening. Plenty of stories on it. I'm just saying. We need a gangster. That's why we need this guy back. And that's that. Now, again, back to the comments, for the people that were also saying things like, of course she's going to be prepared. She was a DA and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, well, and if you're the DA, you have all the information, so you just get to prepare just like that. That's my point was. You're backing up my point. She obviously had the questions. Now there's a bunch of stories coming around where people are coming out, a whistleblower. Now they're trying to discredit that story. So who knows? It'll all filter out. We'll figure out the truth eventually. I know what acting is when I see it. That's what it appeared to be to me. And I'll give you one more example I didn't give you in the video the other day, because I gave you the one where he said that she put out, she didn't address that. I gave you the one where he came straight out and talked about the corruption in the administration, which she didn't deny and never addressed it. The other one was when he talked about the Affordable Care Act, and he said, hey, look, I didn't get rid of it the first time I was in, which is, let me just digress here. Well, I'll get back to it. Didn't get rid of it the first time he was in, says he's going to keep in place. He's not going to get rid of it again. He's going to keep it going, but he doesn't like it. He thinks it costs too much money for you and me and everybody else, and just for the system. He wants to come up with a better plan. That's what he said. When she responded to it, she responded in a way as if he said he was getting rid of the Affordable Care Act. Go back and watch it. Again, that's a scripted answer. Like that was a script that she had memorized. You know, some people are saying that she had mics in her ears that were her ears. I'm not saying I believe that, but it's a funny thing. You know, to me it was more written down because she kept looking down the whole time and making her notes and whatnot. I'm just saying that's what it is. That's the whole thing was prepared. No big surprise. What I didn't know was the guy, it's the Disney company, and Disney's about this whole woke thing. The person owns that, is personal friends with Kamala Harris, set her up with her husband. And even one of the moderators is, I think, belonged to her sorority, you know. And by the way, they never fact-checked anything she said, just what Trump said. And I got a whole list here I could read you if that's what the channel was about, of the things that she said that wasn't true. Like, we have no troops in war zones or anything right now. It's just not true. So I'm just saying, I can go on and on and on about why I think it. All right? I'm not just going to say, like people will say, of course she was prepared. She was a DA. It's what you're supposed to do. That's the end of it, right? Have you heard her when she's not scripted? That word salad stuff that she does? It's, type in Kamala Harris word salad, and they have the whole bunch of times where she's speaking to people, and it's just, she could talk for minutes and say nothing. And do it in a way like she's saying something. It's just totally crazy. Man, the whole thing, it frustrates me. You could tell. I get heated about it. But that's because I care, and I know that if she was to win this election, it's going to be a horrible thing for the country and the whole world. And you and me, everybody. You think that you want it. I get it. Prices are going to go up even higher. Gas prices are going to go up even higher. We're going to become more unstable. World War III is on the horizon for sure. There's definitely going to be more war regardless. It's going to be a shit show. More division, more migrants coming in, more crime. It's true about the FBI statistics being a lie. They didn't count like something like 6,000 cities. It's crazy. So don't go in that direction is all. I'm just begging you, please. Now let's throw that to the side. You know, first 15 minutes already, probably a bunch of people aren't even here anymore. There's like 5 of you left. Yeah. I was texting with Sarah the other day, our favorite YouTuber, Wonder Hussy. So she says that she thinks she's going to put her video out on when she was here, when we did the Hollywood sign hike. I'm nervous about it. I'm looking forward to it because all of her videos are pretty entertaining, but I just remember how that went down that day. And if you don't remember, I did a video when she came. And I don't even remember at all how everything went down, to be honest with you. That was already over a month ago, right? So I know that one day we went down to the beach. We brought the bikes. It's my bike up here, and I got geared pretty high. I've got a 46 tooth front sprocket and a 16 rear tooth sprocket on that. 16 tooth rear sprocket on it. That's the little cog on the back wheel. And that's hard. That makes it much harder to pedal. And even though you're on the beach, there's a couple spots where you go up and down. And we were pedaling pretty good, and we went from Will Rogers State Park all the way down to the marina and back up and riding around and eating and drinking and everything else. So that took a toll on me. And I remember telling her, because I haven't been riding a bike. For a guy that builds custom bikes, and I used to ride my bike to the shop every day for years, I was way more fit. I haven't been. And my legs have been atrophying a little bit because I really haven't been using them the way I should be. So I mentioned to her, I said, I could feel that in my knee. That's kind of weird. And the next morning we were planning to do the hike. So we did it. And the hike went well. When we got up to the top of the mountain, she was acting like she's like, that's not what I wanted to see the front of the sign. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've done a bunch of videos on the sign already. This is the only Hollywood sign hike there is. This is where you end up. You end up on the mountain, behind the Hollywood sign. That's how it is. There is no hike to the front of the sign. And so she was kind of making me out to be a bit of a fool. I'm like, this is what it is. Well, that's not what I want. I'm like, well, calm down. I'll take you down there. It's not a problem. We can drive down. I can get you right to the spot where you're right underneath the sign, as close as you can get to it. And that's what we did. So when she does the video, when she edits it, I'm wondering how she's going to put that together. And then on top of that, on the way down, I was interviewing her, and I think it was a pretty good interview, actually. Although she talked around a lot of the questions and was being kind of, doing her thing, busting my balls and everything else, which is fine. That's our thing. I love her. I miss her. I miss when I don't talk to her for a little while. But as we were getting closer to the end of the hike, my knee started to give out pretty bad. That was coming off the mountain, and it was hard to walk on. It was only if I flexed it. If I made my knee rigid and walked like I had a peg leg, it didn't bother me so much. I hadn't caught on to that at that point yet. And after that, we drove around and got to underneath. So like walking from where I parked the truck over to the underneath the sign, oh my God, that was so painful. So she was goofing on me about that. Like one of her things because I was asking her about dating. She's like, well, I need a guy who can keep up with me. And here I am. All of a sudden, I'm a geriatric and I can't even walk. Not that we would go out. We're just friends. It's another thing I'm always having to address here. Just friends. I went through that with you guys already. I didn't catch it on camera. But I did the video. After I posted the video of her visit, I did a video responding to the comments. And I talked about this stuff because it was a funny thing because we were walking down the mountain. I was asking her what kind of guys she likes and everything. And there was a conversation we had earlier. So she brought this one guy up and I just thought that was funny because forget about her for a moment, but people can be delusional. You got to look at yourself of who you are as a human being, like how you come off. Are you cynical? Are you a ball buster? You know what I mean? Are you more negative minded on stuff? Do you have all kinds of issues with like anxiety? You get where I'm coming from. What do you look like physically? Are you pretty fit? Or are you a disgusting fat body, as we used to lovingly call you in the Marine Corps? You have to be real about what you are. And then, because when somebody asks you like what kind of person you like, if they describe some dreamy person, like you can laugh in a way sometimes at somebody could be like, well, that person's not going to like you. You know what I mean? Like that person's probably not going to put up with your shit. That's what I was thinking. This is not directed at Sarah. I'm just saying in general. But it was funny because she said that. She mentioned this one guy. I was like, okay, that's funny. And then she started asking me. And I said to her, I said, well, I like those people that are almost annoyingly pleasant. The kind of person that's just happy. Glass is half full. The kind of person who wakes up in the morning and just is like, wow, let's have a great day today. What can we do to make this day great? Wants to help others, is an uplifting human being, sees the good in everybody, like not a hint of cynicism in them. That's the kind of person I like. And she's like, well, I'm a ball buster and I'm this and I'm that. It's like, yeah, I know. That's why we would never go out. Like, exactly. Like I would, if I wanted to go out with a ball buster, I would be in New Jersey right now, married, with some kids, and I'd be fat and bald and miserable, and I'd have a wife that at this point, we'd probably be divorced by now. I'm not putting up with it, man. Not putting up with it. And I just hate the cynicism. I just don't like it. So, and then there's this other thing. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's always been there. I don't think it has been. It's just been in the last couple decades. This thing with some women out there with this competition they feel like they have to have with men, and constantly trying to berate men. It's like just like television. Like every dad on TV has to be an idiot. That's how they make him out to be. And like I'm having a real problem right now with Netflix. I can't watch anything. I've watched everything I want to watch on there, and everything else is shit. All these action movies with heroines, right? Like female action stars, it's bullshit. Like there's nothing real about that. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a 180-pound lesbian that owns cats that wants to come here and kick my ass and you've been studying MMA for 10 years. I'm going to kick the shit out of you. That's just how it is, man. It's, you can't take a 130-pound fit woman, 5'6", 5'7", give her a couple more pounds. Let's say she's 145 pounds. Because these girls are svelte, right? They're not walking around at 180 pounds, jacked. Right? The female stars. And she's going to take on, 3 or 4 or 5 guys that are 180 pounds plus, special operators, badass dudes, mercenaries, that kind of shit. Guys that roll around all the time with Brazilian jiu-jitsu and just beat everybody up for fun. And they're winning these fights. Come on. Stop it already. One good shot, you're down. You ain't getting back up. So it's just kill. I never like that in movies anyhow. Forget about the women. But if you hit somebody in the head with a monkey wrench, that guy ain't getting up. That's a killing blow, man. You can crack somebody's friggin' skull with that thing. By the way, when they do that in movies, it's rubber. It's not real. And the sound that you hear is called Foley. They make up the sounds. It's not real. Just so you know. There's so much bullshit on there. And I watched a movie. It was actually super well acted. I can't remember the name of it. I'm Here to Help or something. It was such a fucked up premise. A woman she's a lesbian. Her and her girlfriend, they're lesbians. And they go out and they steal people's lives. So they find old people. Weiss, the mom from The Lost Boys, Diane Wiest, plays this character who apparently has a stolen identity. And she's really the mother of a mobster who was played by Peter Dinklage, the little guy. Fabulous actor. That's why I wanted to watch the movie. I'll watch anything he's in. If you haven't seen a movie called The Station Agent with Peter Dinklage, check that film out. It's phenomenal. Oh, so well acted, great story, likable characters, great movie. This movie, you don't like anybody. Like I'm sitting here watching this movie going, why the hell am I even watching this? I hate these people. I hate them. Don't like any of them. Bunch of fucking scumbags, man. So in the movie, what they do is she's got this doctor friend of hers who sees all these old people patients. And this woman, I can't remember her name, she owns a facility, right? An old folks home. So she goes to the doctor and she says, who don't you want to deal with? Or who's got money, really? Okay, this person. Well, she gets the doctor to lie and say that this person now needs to be taken care of. She needs a caretaker because she can't take care of herself. They get a court order for it. They show up at your house with people and they take you away to an old folks home and drug you up, and there's nothing you can do. They do the research first, make sure that all the family's dead and everything else, and then they steal their life. They steal their homes, their art, their money, everything. They get into their bank accounts, and this woman's becoming wealthy off of this. Well, she kidnaps Diane Wiest, unknowing that her son, Peter Dinklage, is a mobster, Russian mobster. And she gets away with it. There's a little trick ending there at the end, and she kind of ends up getting what she deserves. But for quite a while, you're like, this ain't going to, I'm just watching this whole thing, and I'm thinking to myself, why do these movies exist? What a fucked up story, man. I mean, it's not like we got to have a bunch of G-rated, cartoons, of course, but just to show like the worst of people and all of it, like it was hard for me to watch that movie. It really was. I mean, I just hated them, and that's a lot of that is on. That's what's on Netflix right now. Maybe as a whole in movies, I don't know, but it's really disheartening and sad and fuck, man, it was terrible. So between the BS fantasy movies that I'm not into, and this horrible crap that they're showing the way people are living and doing things to other people, it's just terrible, man. It's horrible. I actually went through like what's coming up next on there, and I went through every single one of them, and there was like two things I wanted to watch, and they were sports related. I don't even watch sports anymore, but it was like there was one coming up on the old Dallas Cowboy coach. I can't remember his name right now, but that looked pretty good, and something else. All the rest of it's poop. Like Netflix is actually playing classic films on there now too, so at least you can watch some old movie, but I probably already own the DVD for the good ones. Anyhow, just throwing all that out there. I can't think of what else I want to say to you guys. I've been talking about leaning up, and this week I did an experiment with food. I bought some stuff that I don't typically eat, like granola grain stuff, but no sugar added to it. And I bought some chips, like plantain chips and stuff like that, and some banana chips. And then these people where I have my workshop, they're not eating nuts anymore, but she would take almonds and roast them and mix in with sea salt and some other stuff. So they gave me a big bag of that. So I ate a little bit of each, and then I threw it all in this big container and shook it all up as a snack thing. And every day I've been eating, like I'll sit down, for like 5 to 10 minutes, just munch on that. And then I bought some juices, again, no sugar, like pure juice from Trader Joe's, like cherry juice, pomegranate juice. I can't think of the other one. And then some sparkling mineral water, and I mix that in there. So between the juice and the snacks, I gained a few pounds from that. Really. So I wanted to test that. Like no other junk, no cookies, no other sugar, none of that other stuff. My normal stuff where I'm mostly just eating eggs for lunch and doing my stew at night. But I definitely got puffed up, and it messed with my system eating that. So I'm like, okay, now I know. I'm almost done with it. I won't buy that again, and we're going to get back on a more strict diet. And like I didn't have the energy this week that I had the week before when I was eating super clean. It's another thing. So it's just good to do those experiments with yourself. And if you could go a couple days without eating and fast, that's a really good thing to do, just for those of you that are curious. I was talking to somebody about working out the other day. I'm always giving that advice and trying to help my friends out with it. If you guys are curious, I'll tell you. I have gotten requests for that before. Like what I'm eating, recipes for what I'm cooking, and that's kind of hard because I just throw a bunch of stuff in and make it. Like I don't have a recipe. Everything, I just cook things out of my head. I've been living alone since I was 14. I've been cooking up for a long friggin' time. So I don't need a recipe for anything. And working out and that sort of thing. Like I have these systems that I do, and I really didn't do much this week when it comes to that. But more of that will come, and you'll see some of that here. And I hope that doesn't turn people off. I'm not going to turn the channel into a workout channel, but from time to time, like I do with watch stuff or anything else, there's going to be some oddball thing that I come along and just kind of give you guys some tips on it. Because as I get older, I understand how the body changes and what you need and what you don't need. One of the things you need to do is just stop eating all the food that you've been eating because your metabolism slows down as you get older. So stop eating all that shit. I'd really like to get out to Tacoma again. There was something happening this weekend there. I think the Death Valley Brewing Company opened back up. I would have liked to have been there. But the van, so those of you who follow the van stuff, had a leak from somewhere in the timing cover, maybe the front main seal, and I brought that in weeks ago. And they replaced the whole timing cover that had the seal in it already. And when they did that, they did it the right way. So they dropped the oil pan and everything. So they had to replace all of that. And it leaked again. But now it is leaking directly from the front main seal. And I did a bunch of research on that. And I know there's 3 basic things that you should do when you replace the front main seal. You want to put some silicone around the outside of the seal. You want to press that in, use the thing to press it in correctly, grease the inside part where the Hydro Boost slides over that shaft and the Hydro Boost spins on that seal. So you don't want to run that dry because it'll burnish and then it'll leak. And then when the Hydro Boost slides on, there's a keyway, and you want to put silicone in there. So there's silicone in 2 spots and grease. And so when they put that together, there's 2 places where it could leak. All 3 of them, really. Now, I talked to the guy who owns the shop. He's a friend of mine. He said, no, we always put the grease in there. He's sure of that. But the seal was already in, so that wasn't silicone. And then I'm positive that they didn't put any silicone on the shaft there in the keyway. So I dropped that off Tuesday morning and get that done. And after that, I'll feel better about taking the van on a longer drive and all that. They're also going to clean up the whole engine bay and all that for me. Get all the old oil and the brake fluid and transmission fluid. So the power steering uses transmission fluid, and then you use regular brake fluid in the you know what I'm saying, for the brakes. I'm going off the rails here. Most of you don't care, but the point is that was leaking, that system, for ever since I had the van. So that all has to get cleaned up, and then we'll be golden, and boom. Now I'm planning on going to the house at the end of the month. The house I have in Arizona. I'm really looking forward to that. My cousin, today's the 15th. My nephew. I gave him the money for his, first and last months so he can move out of the house. And today's the day he's supposed to be moving into his new apartment. He sent me videos on it yesterday. He's all excited. So the last weekend of the month, I think it's the 26th, 27th, there's going to be an event, which I haven't bought tickets for yet, at the drag strip area south of Tucson. It's very close to where I have the house in Huachuca City. I can just drive up the road, I can come up the back way, and there's going to be one of my favorite YouTubers there. This guy it's called Pole Barn Garage, and he does really cool stuff with cars. And he's got his kid in there helping him. He's got this other guy helping him. Once in a while, big giant guy. I'd like to talk to him about his weight. I'm everybody's favorite person. I make everybody feel like shit. That guy, the last video that they did together, he picked up, it looks like about a 64 Dodge swept line with a V8 318. I had a 67 Dodge swept line with a V8 318 in it. That was my everyday ride here in LA for over 20 years before I got the Astro van. And when I sold that, I gave this kid all the parts, but I kept the original distributor that I had run on a dwell machine, and I put a Petronix electric ignition thing that replaces the points underneath the cap. I still have it. So I was chatting with him in a comment on Instagram, and I said, if I show up, I'll bring this and I'll give it to you. I actually have some car parts I'm never going to use. Some of them for that truck and other stuff that Dalton, he's the guy from Pole Barn Garage, could use. So I'm hoping I can make this trip, bring these parts, get to meet these guys. Maybe we could do a little YouTube cross-pollination, because that's how we all grow here. And that would be fun to do. I think you guys would enjoy it. It's called the duct tape drags, something like that. So I guess it's basically beaters on a drag strip. So these are cars that is beat to piss that people slap together, and they go there and have fun. They crash them, they blow them up, I guess. I don't know. I haven't been to it before. I've been to drag strips before, and hot rod drag strips, actually classic cars back in Jersey a couple times. That's fun. So yeah, that's my plan. End of the month, Arizona. Probably be there for a week or more. I'll try cleaning up the house a bit. I'll give you guys plenty of footage on that. Talk about what we're going to do. Maybe I'll do a couple little projects there. I've got to replace 2 fascia boards on the front, and I also need 2 short gutters there, so I can do all that while I'm there. And talk to my sister and all that good stuff and see what the hell's going on out there. And I'm looking forward to being there and going there more often. So that is the plan. Start remodeling that house with the goal of eventually permanently relocating there. But that's not going to happen like that. I could take a year or more to make that happen. It's not a rush. I'll keep taking whatever work I could get here, make the money to afford to work on that house. Now, having said that, spending time there and meeting more people could lead to me moving there sooner. Because if somebody wants to pay me to do what I do there, I don't need to be here. So these are the things that are crossing my mind, because Arizona is more like what America is supposed to be, in my opinion. Gas is cheaper, everything's cheaper. And I found out there's a couple guys I know. Now, I don't agree with them, the way they see the politics and everything, but I know these guys, and they're not bad guys. We always got along. We used to ride motorcycles together. There's at least two of them. One guy I know better, and they moved to Bisby. So one guy opened a business there. So and he doesn't know when I did the video interview with my buddy Rick, you guys remember that from last week, we talked about our sailing story and everything else. It was a great time. He was telling me that this guy moved out there, and they texted back and forth. He forwarded me the text, so I know the business to go to and check out when I'm there. And I think I got the guy's number on my phone, and I'll reach out to him at some point. So anyhow, I've already got people there. I did a project for an attorney in Sierra Vista this past spring, where I made the pedestal table, the walnut table for him. So, I know people there, and there are people who want to spend money, and so you understand what I'm getting at here. I'm kind of looking forward to this, and I'm really looking forward to providing better content for you guys when I'm in Arizona. There's just so much cool stuff there, great history, everything from, the Spanish and the Mexicans there, and then the Apaches, and the Wild West, and Tombstone, and miners, and gold, and UFOs, and there's so much cool stuff right there. I don't have to go anywhere, man. Everything within 30 minutes just of where my house is. I could be taking you to all these cool spots and looking around and investigating stuff and hiking, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think I'm over this LA thing finally. So just where I live, even just the stuff going on here with the people, like this kooky neighbor I got. You guys, that's the video why normies can't hang out with loonies. You guys should watch that video, because this bitch, oh my god, like the stuff that she's doing right now is very annoying. So that's that. So I'm kind of over this whole thing. But it's been a good run here in LA. Again, I've been in this apartment since February of '93. Been in LA since September of '92. So it's 32 years right now. Pretty much to the day of this video. I think I got here mid-September. So 32 years ago. I've had enough. Had enough, man. Freaking over it. Possibly be in Tacoma for that event, which I think is November 2nd, which is interesting, right? Because that's just a couple days before the election. So I don't know about that. That's interesting timing. I got to talk to Sarah about that stuff too. Because I was thinking about if I get a hotel room, but I realized I just stay in my van. They got a bathhouse. So bathrooms and showers and all that isn't a big deal. So I might just do that. I might just kick around, find places to park the van, and just sleep in the van for a couple days. Maybe is what I might do. I don't know. So I'm not even sure if I'm going. But if I go, that might be what I do. And if I'm there, I might want to stick around through the election. And not be in LA for that. Not that I think something bad is going to happen, but I don't know. The hell, I don't know. I don't know anything. And I hope I didn't piss off too many of you. We'll try to keep this one short today. I can't think of what else to really talk about. I'm just not as out there with everything. I'm normally more creative and I'm more upbeat and everything. But that video, that debate thing, and like you can't get away from it. I spent a lot of time on YouTube and everything trying to break free of that and watch all the things that I'm interested in. But you just keep getting bombarded by it. You can't get away from it. And everybody wants to talk about it. And so it's one of the reasons why I stopped. Look, people think that I don't have the time or that I'm not politically astute. And I've told you before, I was a political wonk for years. I was into it, man. But all the BS has really pissed me off, so I don't want to watch it anymore. And by the way, I just had a thought. So I've done a video on this before. Don't go anywhere. I'm right here. There's a book here. I got to point this out to you. So, Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky. Hillary Clinton wrote her, I don't know if it was her master's thesis, but I know she wrote one, I think it was, on this guy. She loved this guy. So did Obama. Loves this guy. You need to read this book. You need to read Rules for Radicals. You need to look up the Cloward-Piven strategy. 2 people. Cloward/Piven strategy. Cloward with a C. Piven, like Jeremy Piven. Cloward-Piven strategy. Look that up. Get a copy of this. Read those. And all your questions will be answered. You will understand what's going on politically in this country. And I want to point out something. This is a first edition hardcover of this. I don't know if this was included in later editions. It may have been. But there is a dedication here to Lucifer. I can read this, but I can probably see it better if I put some peepers on, so bear with me. It says here, lest we forget at least an over-the-shoulder acknowledgement to the very first radical from all of our legends, mythology, and history. And in parentheses it says, and who's to know where mythology leaves off and history begins, or which is which? The first radical known to man who rebelled against the establishment and did it so effectively that he at least won his own kingdom, Lucifer. That's this quote right here, this paragraph, and that was written by Saul Alinsky. You know, just something to ponder, because the people who are in the ear of Biden and this woman who wants to run for president, they were weaned on this book, and this is what they believe. So it's like a weird horror film slash sci-fi movie in a way, what we're seeing. You know, like in those movies, you can't, like the vampire can't come into your house unless you let him in. Or those weird things like they're not allowed to do anything unless they actually tell you what they're doing. Like they have to be honest about the evil and all the crazy shit that they want to do. Then they're allowed to do it. Well, that's what they're doing, because everything's out in the open. None of this is a secret. But when people ask me, where do I get my information? What am I paying attention to? I'm doing my own information. I'm reading my own stuff, man. I'm online. I'm finding these people, right, in these areas, going out and showing you what's happening without a filter, talking to people on the street. I watched one today, the same guy that, oh man, he did a couple videos I like, but he did one today, or I don't know when it was from, but I watched it today, where he was in the Bronx asking people who they're going to vote for. Oh, he did the one on the Jews. So he went to a Jewish neighborhood in New York. He's a Jewish kid, but he's not like a Hasidic kid, but he went to a high Jewish neighborhood that was all Hasidics, and asked them who they were going to vote for. That was an eye-opening video. That was really entertaining. Well, he did one where he went to the Bronx, and that was interesting, because the people who want to vote for Kamala, when you listen to them, they can't give you any real reasons. It's all feelings. It's all feelings. It's not based on boom. But even the people who want Trump, there wasn't a lot of matter of fact, the most articulate person that he talked to was this old black guy. I think he was a wino or something. And he was the most articulate person that this kid talked to in that particular video. But this is what I like. I like people going out there and talking to people on the street and asking them questions in the areas that are being talked about in the media. Because when you see what's happening there with your own eyes compared to what the media is telling you is there, because they'll show you a second or 2 seconds of the screen of an image, and then they narrate over it, and then they have talking heads talking about it, but you're not seeing it. They're just telling you what to think, versus people who are there showing you and talking to the people and letting them speak complete sentences and talking it out until there's nothing left for that person to say, and then they move on to the next person. So that's where. And so there's that, and there's a lot of other journalism going on out there where it's actually like magazines and whatnot online that you can read. And so that's yeah, that's the research I'm doing. I'm not relying. I learned a long time ago to stop listening to the news. I remember, I've told all this before, but I remember when I was young, I remember being like, I was around 21 years old, and that's buddy Todd. He came home from the army, and we were talking about it, and I really didn't have an opinion on anything. I remember I would go to lunch once in a while at this bar, this local bar in town, and people would talk about politics, and I'd overhear it. I didn't have an opinion on anything. I thought, that's interesting. Maybe I should look into this. So the first thing I did was decide to read the newspaper, and I was appalled at the newspaper. I was like, this is written on like a 4th grade reading level, man. Like I was, like, wow. And then I tried to watch the news, and this was in, I think it was before cable news and everything. It was still the 1980s. But I just remember seeing these opinions of people. Again, they would, the best example I have that I recall was when I moved out here in the 90s. I remember her name. Her name was Beverly White, black lady. I think it was Channel 5 News. And there was a bombing here. And she said that we don't know who did it. Like it was an anonymous thing. But at the time, they were trying to get us to be all afraid of militia groups. So she went from anonymous, don't know who it is, next sentence referring to whoever did it as it being a militia group that was responsible. You just said you don't know, now it's a militia group. And that just jumped out at me like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on here? And there's just, you could see it. Once you see it, once your mind is open to the truth and you realize that we're being lied to and manipulated all the time, you can catch it every time. And again, this is not what this channel is about. I could do it though. I could sit here. I don't know how they do it, by the way. I watch these channels. Like sometimes somebody will have something playing and then they're sitting there. You'll see them in a smaller screen and maybe they'll stop it once in a while. I don't like when they interrupt too much, but they'll, commentary on what they're showing you. I don't know how they get away with showing you that and still be monetized. I guess I should look into that. Because I can watch any of these programs, even the ones I like, and comment on what I'm watching and take it apart. Like when I did the debate video, that wasn't politics. Some of you, small percentage of you, thought that was political. It wasn't political. It was psychological. I was breaking that down in a way, explaining what's going on in people's minds and telling you that she's an actress. Like that was a performance. That's what was going on there. Boom. 3 against 1. Boom. Only fact checking him, not fact checking her. Gave you 2 examples, gave you a third today on her answers not having anything to do with he said, which is, I'm using that to support my position that that's how scripted she was. She couldn't go off script. When she does go off script, if you've ever watched her when she's out and about and she's just speaking, it's just this word salad nonsense thing that she does. So that's what I observe. Now, if I was to see it and show it to you and talk about it, I could do that for you. But a lot of you wouldn't be here for that, And actually, I think if I did that, it would be a whole other channel and it would probably be very popular because people that do that do very well. But the reason, I've said it before, that I don't want to do that is because it makes you not a happy person. I mentioned my friend Sabo before. He's in Aurora, Colorado. He sees it. He had a guy, I guess I could talk about it. He got, on Thanksgiving last year, he was drunk. He walked into a 7-Eleven and said the wrong thing to the guy behind the counter who was like a big thug guy. And the guy hit him with a pipe and cracked the top of his head open. I got the pictures. It was horrible. And it's crazy, like what's going on there. And so he sees it. I talked to him about it. He knows what's going on. Their property values are in the crapper. Like he's living with his brother and they want to sell his brother's house and everything. And yeah, it's the media tries to tell you it's not that serious. It's not that big of a deal. But when you see it with your own eyes or you talk to people that live there, you get the truth. Same thing when the COVID thing was happening. I've got a bunch of doctor clients here. I got 2 friends that run hospitals. I got a cousin that's works in a hospital down here, and they were all telling me the truth, and they all told me don't get the shot. Express what they thought was really going on. And the ones running the hospitals were telling me about how what the government was doing. Like, they didn't care about the deaths. They just wanted to know how many people tested positive. And then I had a friend who died, who owned 6 funeral homes, and everything she was going through with the government, because, like, if somebody died in a motorcycle accident, but they tested positive for COVID post-mortem, it was labeled as a COVID death. All this bullshit that we know now is true. All those numbers were inflated. The numbers they said died initially, nowhere near close to the actual truth. People obviously died. My mom died of it. That's what I believe. So, because these things are actually lowering your immune system. And that's what doctors were telling me. So, they're telling me, dude, you're a healthy guy, don't get it. Straight up. So, a lot of lies going on there. A lot of lies. The Wuhan virus thing, now we know. World Health Organization, gain of function research. Like, we know now that that's true, even though we were told it wasn't. Again, back to the Hunter Biden laptop. On and on and on. The Russian dossier, Russia, Russia, Russia. All lies. All lies. None of it's true. And again, I've pointed this out before, the bummer is that so many people have all these negative thoughts about Trump that are based on lies that have now been proven to have been lies. All right, none of it was true. But people, you can't, once you have that emotion, it's very hard for you to cleanse your palate of that. So you still are emotionally triggered. You've been programmed to be triggered. People are programmed to be triggered over a red hat. Did you see the video? People thought it was fake, but then I watched the whole video. Biden putting on the Trump hat, that's 100% real. That's how out of touch he is. It's really funny. He's in there with the guy, and the guy's wearing the Trump hat. Biden's got his hat on. He autographs the hat for the guy. The guy takes the hat off, puts the hat on that Biden autographed. He says, well, you got to put my hat on now. So he puts it on, and he's smiling at the camera with a Trump 2024 hat on. That's all real. It's not fake. It's real. That really happened. So some of you, listen to me right now, think it's fake still. It's 100% genuine footage, real picture. So I can't keep going over and over and over this because it's frustrating. It's you keep relying on the same sources lying to you over and over and over again. Just stay on YouTube and go off and look at people and watch the videos and look this stuff up, and you'll see the real footage of stuff. It is getting harder though. They are manipulating it. The whole thing came out, the guy Zuckerberg came out with Facebook, where he admitted on Rogan actually that the government he was in cahoots with the government to suppress certain information that he knows now was true. Hunter Biden laptop's the perfect example of that. That was that last election. And remember, I was in New Jersey at the time, and I had this friend of mine. He owns a surf shop there, and he was on Twitter all the time with that, pulling up all this stuff. Look at this, look at that. And I'm like, holy crap. And he was so into it that it's hard, because it's, I don't want to hear about this stuff all the time. I want to go surfing, man. I don't care that much. But we saw it happening in real time, and it happened to all of us, and our posts got taken down, or we got shadow banned. I know I did, even on YouTube with some of the stuff I was saying, because my numbers would go away. The Greta Thunberg, like I did a video on Instagram, this is, many years ago now with her, and I made this comment where I talked about, why are we listening to children give us advice on the climate where they don't know anything? Anything that they think they know is stuff that they've been told. They don't actually know it. They're just repeating what they've been told to say and what they've been programmed with. And I put the video up, and it was doing okay. Like, I don't get a lot of views. I'm a dude. I'm an old guy, gray hair and a beard. I'm not some hot chick with a great ass and some cans, and I'm flaunting my, walking around naked in the woods or something. Well, I do that, but I'm a man, old guy with a beard, and I'm gray hair. But if I was a woman, I'd have a lot more views. But on Instagram, I post this video, and within like not even 24 hours, for me, it was doing pretty good. I remember it had like 480 views or something. I was like, oh wow, that's doing pretty good. But I remembered, I forgot to do hashtag Greta Thunberg or whatever. So I added that. The next day I got up 0 views. How do you go from 480 and growing to 0 views? It was me putting that hashtag on there. So it's like me eating the stuff I ate this week to know what it does to my body. I do those experiments with myself, with my own social media, and I see the effect of it. I think that last video did actually hurt the channel in a way, because I saw my growth suddenly shift right after I put the video up. After it started getting a lot of comments, it's got a lot of comments under that video, the one after the debate, my thoughts on the debate. So it's not good for me to put this out there, but I can't help myself right now. You know, I'm not trying to change. Well, I am. I mean, I'm just telling you how I see it. You already know who I am. You've been watching me for a long time now. I think you know I'm not a straight up bullshit artist. I'm a genuine human being. I got, you know, better than average intellect. I look into things, I can explain things, I can defend my positions. So that doesn't mean I'm right about everything, and I don't care to be. But my point is, you know, I'm not towing a party line or anything. I'm not a fan of the Republicans either. I wish Trump would just come out and not even, I wish he'd run on the independent ticket. But the reason why he runs on the Republican ticket is because of the political machine. Like, you kind of have to do that. He does that as it's a business decision. You know, the money and everything else to help run campaigns and all that, it only makes sense. He wouldn't get that if he ran independent. That's why he does it. But he doesn't have a lot of friends over there either. So it's the people that are in cahoots with the, you know, not all corporations are bad. Not all big business is bad. Not all rich people are bad. That's such a stupid way to think. If it wasn't for rich people, we wouldn't have anything. That's just the truth, man. People invent things, make money on it, reinvest the money in the product. Product price eventually goes down. But in the beginning, like I use the analogy of the digital watch all the time. The digital watches showed up in like the 1960s. And at the time they were like $300-400. $300-400 in like 1968 is like $8,000 today. So rich people would buy them. And by the 1980s, digital watches, they were given away for free in Happy Meals, right? Same thing with the cars, electric cars, everything else. When they first come out, the only people who can afford them are the wealthy people. Wealthy people can afford them. Those companies take the money, reinvest it, re-engineer things, make things better, smaller, boom, 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 boom. Before you know it, your average citizen can afford it. Like, poor people in this country have TV sets. Poor people in this country have cars. Poor people in this country have cell phones. They have social media. There's poor people in other countries. I mean, they're poor, man. They got to walk a mile to get fresh water. They dirt floor huts. I mean, it's fucking crazy, man. I'm just saying, you have to put things into perspective here. So with that, I'll let you go. I'm not proud of this video, I don't think. I feel like it was kind of like, I'm not complaining or anything, but I know it's not what a lot of you people are here for. Although when I do this, and by the way, for the people that want to put the negative thing out or just disagree with me, it's fine. I don't mind it. I would recommend that you do it in a smart way, because you know me, if you seem too stupid, I'm going to make you famous on the channel. I'm going to highlight it and talk to it. But if you look at my comments under my videos, overwhelming majority of the comments are positive and in support of what I'm saying. Now, I'm not doing it and saying it because I'm trying to play up to those people because I want those positive comments. I don't really care. But it's nice to see, because that's what motivates me to keep doing these videos. And there's a huge percentage of people, when I do this specific thing where I end up talking along the lines of what's happening in politics, they're happy that they think I'm speaking the truth, and they mention it in there. So if you don't agree with me, like if you think that this woman can somehow do a good job running this country, which is crazy, again, 3.5 years, part of this administration, everything's gone in the shitter. Why hasn't she already fixed it? 3.5 years. Well, there's no policy. She doesn't have any policy. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear that in the debate. What's her plan? What's her energy plan? I can go on and on and on. I just don't want to. But I can go on. I could take every point that's important, break it down, and ask you what you think she's going to do. because she hasn't said it. It's like a bunch of word salad nonsense. So that's the thing. That's it. I wish I could have laughed more in this video. I promise to be more entertaining and have some more fun, and we'll get on some adventure stuff. I'm going to be doing more fun stuff, I think, here this week. I got to go see my buddy Chad. It's going to be cooler this week, finally. The temperatures broke, and I'm going to try to help him out. So I'll show you this fence that he built based on my design and some of the parts I made for him. I'm going to call him after I'm done with this. And there'll be some bike-related stuff, hopefully, this week. I'm going to get the kitchen box done for Phil this week, the insert for his rear door on his Astro van, and ship that out to him. I'm basically taking a break from making money this week just to catch up with the stuff that I kind of owe people. I might be talking to my last client maybe tomorrow. She's been out of town. She might want me to come back to her house and do some work. I might do that. There's some stuff involved with that I want to avoid, so I don't know if I want to get back involved in that, but it's right down the street, and I give her a price and she pays me, and we have a good relationship. So there's just some stuff, personal stuff there dealing with, and the parking situation, the dog and the boys, and there's a lot of stuff that makes the job take longer and whatever, but it's right here, and so I don't know. I guess the positives might outweigh the negatives on that, so I might do that. And then the woman, my friend Kirk, I did all that work for. She still wants me to go back over there. I don't like going over there too much. Just the commute. It's a half hour or more each way, driving over to Mission Hills there. And that it's a toll on the van, and it's a lot of fuel, because you get on the highway and it's boom. From here to there, it's just, I'm not flooring it, but I'm definitely driving over 80 miles an hour most of the way, because that's the only way to do it. Here on the highways, get all the way over to the left and just go, because everything else is fucking crazy. All the merging, the big trucks, everything else, just get over here and go. And it just takes a toll on me and the vehicle and everything else, and it adds over an hour, right, to the day, just commuting, which is no fun. Whereas here, it's right there. I get up in the morning, in 5 minutes, I'm on the job working. And I can come home for lunch. It's all boom, 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 that quick. So, yeah, I might get back to that too. And again, end of the month, Arizona, like I said, you guys, you've been listening if you're still here. All right, that's it for now. Thank you for being here. Thanks for putting up with me. I know you might see it in my face in the way I'm speaking. I don't want to talk about this stuff. It doesn't make me happy. But I'm compelled to do it. I feel like it needs to be said. I feel like maybe that's my purpose, is to be like, hey, Mike, that's what I have going on in my brain. It's the reason I started doing these chats on the YouTube anyhow, is because there's just something in my mind telling me to do it, egging me on. And that, combined with the positive comments from you, wanting to hear me say it, or it's like, I agree with you 100%. Now, I don't care if you agree with me 100% or not. I don't care. That actually freaks me out a little bit, because, hey, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, it turns out I'm wrong, and you agree with me 100%, well, now you're wrong. But, at least you're in good company. All right, that's it. You guys have a great day. Be kind to one another. Love thy neighbor, man. Even if they aggravate the hell out of you, you can't hate them. I don't hate my neighbor over here. I'm just not talking to her. I mean, if her place if it caught on fire, I'd go over there and put it out. I'd put it out. I just don't like the crap she pulled, and whatever. But again, that's it. Have a great weekend. It's already over. It's Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll catch you all in the next one. I hope you enjoy what I do this week. And, yeah, be nice to me in the comments. So I don't have to go through this again. The only reason I'm doing this is because the bummer comments I got was like, that doesn't make any sense what you're saying. All right, that's it. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.